Hello everyone, my name is Tanu Mehta and I'm a third year PhD student from Dr. Chaudhary's lab. I'm going to talk about my project which is based on CFD analysis of drop formation during 3D printing process. So let's talk a little bit about 3D printing. 3D printing is basically a process where we create 3D object using different types of materials. We have multiple types of 3D printing processes which we can use depending on what type of material we are looking for at the end. So my project is based on Inject based 3D printing. So let's see how this process works. So to begin with, we have a powder reservoir or hopper, which discharges a specific amount of powder on a platform. And this powder is spread into thin layer by a roller. And after the completion of these steps, these little print heads, they spray ink on top of this powder layer, and this process keeps on repeating until we achieve desired tablet thickness or any other formulation we are trying to make. So to initiate this process, we basically need two raw materials. First one is the powder excipient mixture, and second one is the ink or binder solution. And the choice of these two materials, it depends on the formulation we are trying to make. So it is important to note that the print quality is significantly affected by the drop properties which are being jetted out of these printhead nozzles. So that is why we want to study this drop formation process. So we are trying to understand this drop formation during 3D printing process using computational modeling, and we are using computational fluid dynamics or CFD for this analysis. So now why we are doing these simulations? So the data from these simulations will help us in understanding the 3D printing process better, and it will also help us in predicting how different types of fluids are going to behave during 3D printing process. For example, if we have water, how these drop properties are going to change in comparison to if we have some other fluid with different properties than water. And also, sometimes it is difficult or impossible to perform experiments for the data we are looking for. So, in this type of analysis, we first create a domain, also known as geometry, which basically represents the actual system in terms of dimensions and the shape. So, basically, we draw this system using a software, and after drawing the domain or the geometry, we move to the next step where we set up the physics, or I can say where we assign different properties or parameters to the system, such as surface tension, viscosity, density, or other properties. And after assigning these parameters, we run the calculation, and at the end of the calculation, we get our results. And mm, at the end of the calculation, we do have the results, but it is important to compare these results with the experimental data just to make sure that our predictions are right. So, this analysis or CFD modeling can be performed using a number of softwares. And for our calculations, we used a commercial software known as ANSYS Fluent. And, so here I'm showing the data from a CFD simulation we ran with one of the fluids. And here is the experimental data. We can get different different properties of the drop from CFD simulation, which we can use to understand the process, and we can also use it to make our process better, improve the 3D printing process. So this was a small introduction about my project, and I would love to answer any questions you have. Also, please feel free to reach out to me in case you want to know more about our work or you want to see how this system works. And thank you so much for listening.